Hey, greetings and salutations, and welcome to another edition of, I want to say, Wellness, Awareness, and Recovery. You're welcome to the Wellness, Awareness, and Recovery community. My name is Reggie Smith, and I'm here with Dr. Bev, or as we are today discussing 21st century healing solutions for communities at risk for COVID-19. And that means all of us basically, but let's have a discussion, especially for the folks in the recovery community and people that have been diagnosed with HIV in our families, so that we can kind of get a grasp of what it is that we're dealing with emotionally, and some of the things that you may or may not know are things that you can use to empower yourself to participate in your own survival. I want to thank you all for joining us today and say welcome to Dr. Beverly Orr. Uh, you probably don't know, Bev, you have quite a large following, don't you?
Yeah, I have quite a few people that kind of tune in. Yep. Yeah, I have a few communities that come that follow me because I have done different things over the time, but this is the one that I've done the most consistent. So I have a following from a few different genres.
Well, I know that from the age of 9, you realized you could make money by dressing your neighbor's hair. Built a paying
Yeah,
clientele to help pay the bills at home at the age of
yeah,
9.
yep, yep. Because it was just something that I always wanted to do. So I had two sisters, and we all just had a wealth of hair. So my mom just kept saying she was always a struggle for her to figure out what we were going to do. And I overheard her and her sister-in-law talking on the porch one day saying that, well, that Louise, which was a good friend of theirs, she got the hair salon down on Washington Street, and she just always has money. And say, and I just like the sound of that. I like the sound of always having money. So I associated doing hair with always having money. So it's been a good, profession for me for 36 years. So it's worked out well.
That's amazing. And my mother's name was Louise, and she was a hairstylist all my life.
Ah, isn't that something?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that was just a natural ability, and I did it. But what I figured out was after about 20 years, then I figured out that the clients tell the hairdressers everything.
Right,
Kind
right,
of like a bartender. They tell you everything.
right,
So
right.
you know everything. And a lot of times I would just kind of throw some knowledge of what I understood, back at them. But then, after a few life events in my life, then I started learning. I just actually started doing some conscious study. And then I would go back and I'd work on my clients.
Wow,
And
yeah.
then, yeah, and it just seemed, and they would come back, I don't know what you said. You said something to me last week that really made me think. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, what did I
Yes,
say?
yes,
It's like, what did I
yes.
say?
I
And then
certainly
it's,
identify.
yeah. And then but when they said, and it really helped me, I was like, okay, good. What did I say? So it's like,
Right.
so yeah, it's been a nice career.
Which is key too. We found out that sharing is caring, and just a lot of times what we share with
Yeah.
others, we will need ourselves sometimes.
Yeah.
So the universe, but you've had and started so early, and at the age of 11, you were ordained as a Pentecostal minister,
Hmm.
and you were
Right.
laying hands on folks and healing them. How does that happen at the age of 11?
Well, I just always felt like I could heal people. It was just a natural thing. And because I always believed that, then I did that. you know,
Right.
my dad was a Baptist minister, and we used to go to church with him all the time, and it was just a natural graduation that when people would get sick, they would say, "Okay, well, they go before the church and they pray." And they would feel better. So my mother, she had a lot of ailments as we grew up, and I would do the same thing. I said, "Mama, just let me pray for you, and you feel better." And she'd let me pray for her and feel better. And then I realized that I could talk to her, and she would feel better. So I would just start talking to her, and I'm thinking, and she would say, "Well, baby, how do you know that?" I'm like, and I
Right.
said, and I'm like, "Everybody knows it, Mama. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows what I know." So I didn't know that it was something unusual to be that young and have that much wisdom. I just knew that I had it. So
Yeah.
and I was willing to share it.
And which is prophetic because we all do have it in us, but some
Hmm.
folks have a clear channel. And I'm glad
Yeah.
that you recognize that you did. And it must have been quite traumatic then when your mother was stricken with a stroke and colon cancer.
Yeah.
And the family had to really come together to care for her.
Yeah, it was really hard because she was our rock. You know, my dad was military, so he traveled a lot. So he was like in and out, but she was always there. So it was really hard, but we stuck together. It's five of us. So we stuck together, and people to this day, they're still amazed that, you know, how did that happen? All five of you all were could agree on everything that happened, everything that they decided. And, you know, it's like, well, that's isn't that what families do?
Right,
You
right.
know, so it was a norm for us because that's the way she raised us.
Mm. So it must have been even, very much made an impression on you, I would say, that when she
Mhm.
passed away at the age of 58 in 1989, and she had been under doctor's care for so much. I mean,
Yeah.
and you had that gift of prophecy. How did all of that come together to create the Dr. Bev that we see sitting in front of us now?
Well, because when we went after she passed, and you know, me and my boys that were small at the time, we went to Kentucky to visit her. I mean, to you know, to get her things and so forth.
Mhm.
When I would go back and forth to college, I was like studying natural things then. And I would buy stuff and send it back to her, and buy stuff and either I bring it to her. And in that closet, in the front room closet, I found some of the remedies that I had sent to her. And I thought, man, if she had just taken them,
Wow.
you know, she's like, you know, if and it just really broke my heart because she was so had so much trust in the you know the medical profession. It's just like it just wow, you know. And I was just like, wow, that's really sad. So it was just a revelation on a lot of levels. And because I knew that the system that she was using didn't work, was not effective, then I wanted to find out what was effective. And I
Mhm.
felt like my deductive reasoning says, well, let me look at the things that I observed her going through on an emotional level and some of her emotional history to
Mhm.
see how all of this came about. Because everybody that you know has a stroke doesn't die, and she didn't. She
Mhm.
lived through it. She would bounce back, and she'd get up, and she'd take that arm, and she'd move that arm, and she'd you know exercise. But
Mhm.
then cancer came. She got rid of it, and then it came back. So it's
Mhm.
like, how does that happen?
Mhm.
You know? And those are my questions, and I wanted to know the
Right.
answers. And Reggie, crazy thing, I found the answers. The
Okay.
specific answers that I asked, I found the answers, but I didn't find them. They were not nestled or buried in anything that I knew.
Mm.
I had to step outside of everything that I knew to find where those answers were. And when
Mm.
I was willing to do that and then throw away the stuff that wasn't working and then pick up the stuff that was working, the new understanding, then that's how I got on this path. So,
Okay. Well, people generally take the medical profession's word as gospel and
yeah,
often don't look for the emotional aspect. And I think what I'm hearing you say and what I know to be true is that emotions and our mental attitudes are at the root of all of what we call diseases and
yeah,
maladies.
absolutely.
So
It's,
go
yeah,
ahead.
I narrowed it down to a pattern. You know,
Okay,
because
right,
if you look at everything, everything in the universe has a pattern.
right.
You know, even when you look at, you know, geometry, I mean, there's a pattern for
Exactly.
everything in the universe.
Mhm.
So, and so we are patterns. You know, everything about our molecular structure, our biological structure is
Sure.
made up of patterns.
Mhm.
So our thinking is no different.
Right.
So it's patterns of thinking that manifest us feeling bad, and there are patterns of thinking that manifest us feeling good.
Yeah.
Just like there are patterns of thinking that manifest good health, the
Mhm.
patterns of thinking that manifest ill health. So once you understand the pattern and you can get to the root of the pattern, where did it start? Then you have a good chance of wiping out any sickness, disease, and disorder on any
Okay.
level.
Mhm. I wholeheartedly believe that. I've had the experience myself, and I'm sure we all have gone through different maladies, physical maladies. But I too had to look and see what the patterns were,
Hmm.
and I had to accept responsibility for any diseases that I was or that I was dealing with.
Yeah.
For me, it manifests itself as HIV,
Mm.
and so the question was, when I was diagnosed in 1988, everyone believed that they were going to die
Right.
in months. And as a matter of fact, that's what the doctors were telling everyone because that was their experience. But
Mm,
I wasn't ready to die.
good.
I was just starting to live.
Yeah.
And the question was, I had also been in recovery from substance use disorders for a few years at that time. So I understood the miracle of life and what could happen if we change our behaviors and attitudes.
Yeah.
And so, the search began to find out what was I going to do differently. And I started on the physical level, looking for the herbs and things of that nature, and started looking for the things, the commonalities that people had that were contracting the virus. Of
Hmm.
course, if in our communities, we also are concerned about a lot of the myths. I couldn't trust the system, so I couldn't believe everything they were telling me. So I had to be willing to really take a look around and see what else was out there.
Right.
And so that's when I chose to look for the herbs and things like that, but also had to be responsible for my behaviors and attitudes and
Absolutely.
started shifting those. So, I get what you're saying, but a lot of times it's not the easiest thing to accept responsibility for our sickness or our illness and to make those changes.
Yeah.
How do you work with folks that are ready, and are willing to listen and be open-minded
Yeah.
to new pathways for healing?
Well, again, it boils down to patterns. If, when you talk about responsibility, it's if you've got a pattern of being responsible, then being able to respond to whatever situation shows up. If you're able to be responsible, then now you're able to find out, you're able to look at the core. You're able to look at the root of the things that are manifesting. And you're able to look at, ask some really important questions. How am I causing this? Because if we know that, everything that we manifest, we bring it into our, we bring it into our existence. We bring it into our energy field. And on some level, we're a vibrational match to that. So you think, well, how come some people can get can get exposed to people with the flu and they walk out and they don't get the flu? Because they're not a vibrational match to it. They don't either.
Vibrational,
They
okay.
Yeah, they don't believe that they're gonna. They don't believe that that's part of their existence. They don't believe that that's how they catch it. So they never become a vibrational match to that.
Mhm.
But if they believe that, um, well, if I, let's say, and I'm just using these as examples, let's
Mhm.
say if I drink out of the same cup as a person that has the flu, and I have that belief, and you drink
Right.
out of somebody that has, that has that
Yeah,
belief, I mean, that does that, and you do that, now you've got those vibrations, those because you've got a pattern of thinking that supports all of that, that if you drink out of the same person that has that, then you're going to catch it.
right, right.
So now
So
you've got that working, that vibrational match is working. And I always forget I have them out of reach, my um tuning forks when I talk about the
I hear
vibrational belief. Yes, just so people can see that you can only attract what you are a vibrational match to.
you. Mhm.
So if you um I've never had some experiences in my life because I'm not a vibrational match to them. I lived in Atlanta for 3 years, never saw a reefer, never saw anything with drugs, never saw anything like that.
Right,
And but then I have a friend that goes to Atlanta, not
right.
too far from where I was living. I was living in Duluth, and they were living in Lawrenceville. And as soon as they get there, they're hooked up with. I said, "How did you know that there were? How did you know that there were people here? You never been
You know
here?
what? I already know because
Like,
when
how
I
did
was
you know?"
using drugs, I attracted people who was using it, and I never had a problem
Yeah,
finding drugs.
yeah,
But now that I haven't been using drugs, I don't see it. I don't know it.
yeah.
And the
It's
same
like,
thing is true with anything. And fear, you're right, is a great magnet. It
mhm,
it attracts what we fear.
yeah,
So I try to cancel that, as soon as it comes along. But
yeah,
I'm glad that we're talking about this because it really merges with the communities that I'm having affinity towards, which are substance use disorders,
yeah,
people that and families, as well as people who have HIV, who have been diagnosed with HIV and their families and hepatitis, those types of things. Because you know, I think that there are some different healing solutions that people are ready for and then ready to resonate with. And I think we should talk about it. And we have an experience that the people who are fearful of COVID-19, which is why we're here today, and why, because it brings it all home. COVID-19 is a connecting force. And so everyone is having that experience. But people who have been diagnosed with either substance use disorders or HIV have already had those experiences. We have a lot that we can lend to the world. But I want people to know you, Bev, because you have a lot as well from your experiences. And I think that we're all ready to take the metaphysical journey with you.
Okay.
And so I would like for you to talk a little bit about what you think about COVID-19. And I want to welcome all the folks that are joining us now.
Yeah.
And I want to remind you that we're talking to Dr. Beverly Orr. She is a doctor of metaphysics, and she focuses on quantum healing. And we want to welcome you to the Wellness Awareness Recovery community, where she will be someone that will be available to us all and bringing us information that I believe will really serve us and the greater good. So welcome for joining us. You can join us at the rdsf.mn.co if you're watching us as a recording, and you'll be able to stay connected with us as well. So Dr. Bell,
Yes,
tell
sir.
us COVID-19, what's going on with that, and what's your
Oh gosh, I don't know if we have that much time, but it's been um but let me try to relate my feelings with COVID, or with what I do, because the the thing that's hard for me is because I'm in my 60s. So I have a history, or I remember in the past when some of these viruses came up, and some of the things that they wanted people to do in order to protect themselves, which were not congruent or in line with truth or science.
Mhm.
And because I have a memory of those things, I have to rely on history.
Okay.
And so many things in history do not support, or I should say, support the narratives and not the science of what's going on now.
Okay.
So because I have that history, and I can look back, some of the things that are are reported, again, me as a metaphysician, I have to look at the patterns. Okay,
Mhm.
wait a minute. What does that make sense? You
Right.
know? And
Mhm.
if it doesn't follow a pattern or a line of reasoning or a line of, a line of order, scientific order, in any kind of order, then it's if it's not a duck, it's not a duck. I can't make it one. So, and I'm just saying that, if we learn to look at the patterns of things, then we can easily be able to decipher what's truth and what isn't truth.
True, and
Uh-huh.
I'll tell you from our experiences and from history, we know that there's a lot of the information that we get can't be trusted. And so, what I do know is that from anecdotally, from my own personal experience, that there's a balance between not trusting the information that we're getting and checking the patterns, and then seeking out healing solutions on our own. You
And
know,
yeah,
on,
very good point. Because in checking the patterns and in checking the history and knowing that understanding that you yourself are a electromagnetic antenna, your body is an electromagnetic antenna. And therefore your body knows truth before your mind will know truth.
Mhm.
Your body can resonate what's true to you. So if somebody lies to you, you ever told your mama a story? Mama say, boy, you tell him, hold on, tell mama, because mama know. Okay. But your body knows truth when it hears truth. Truth has a resonance all of its own. And I could maybe one of these times I can bring that. There's a chart that actually shows you where truth resonates
Okay.
as an entity. So if truth resonates there, and our body can resonate with truth, then when you hear truth, your body's going to respond. You're going to get some kind of internal representation about what you're hearing that is true.
Right. Okay. So
Okay.
now I'm hearing you talking about us being energetic beings, and I'm hearing you connect you what I'm saying, like people say in my gut. I just felt it in my gut, or what is
Exactly.
intuition, you know,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
so that we're energetic beings, that everything operates at a frequency, and when things are not resonant, then we get a certain reaction.
You get certain reactions. So when they're not resonant, that gut, that feeling, which is a chemical emotion of the body, that feeling that you feel in your gut, okay, you feel it because it's a gut reaction. So that gut reaction is that truth. If it's true, it's going to resonate. You're not going to get a gut reaction. So but if it's not true, then your gut's going to respond, and there's some things that's going to happen in your gut. Okay. So, and if it's not true, there's things that are going to happen in your physiology where you can learn how to test those things in with your own physiology. So
Right.
you can test truth.
That makes sense, and it's the patterns that I was recognized is that so there's got to be some kind of everything has to play a part. It's got to be a holistic. The water, the air, the food, everything plays a part in disease.
Mhm.
My thinking, my emotions, all of those things play a part in disease. And if that's true, then all of those things can play a part in my wellness.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
if that's the case, then I need to be, conscious. And that's not just for, so when I realized that with my addictions, that it was true, then why wouldn't it work for the HIV? And if it worked for addictions and HIV, then why wouldn't it work for COVID-19? So our immune system is our last line of defense,
Hmm.
but it extends beyond just our bodies. That's the energetic field that you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think that, you know, the reason we're talking about COVID-19 today is because of what you're saying. The fear factor will attract those diseases, or or it will open up our immune system and make us vulnerable to attack from bacteria and viruses. And so I think that if that's the case, then maybe you can help us to talk about some of the healing solutions that they might be available, or some of the things that we might do to empower ourselves.
So
And
one
uh,
of,
and I want to just let folks know that yes, we're talking about COVID-19, but we're talking about how we can access healing solutions within ourselves and through information. And Bev, you got some of that information. Share a little bit with us, please.
yeah. Um, okay. So with with your bodies, going back to what I was saying before, if it resonates is not true for you, then you, you need to know how to decipher if you want to do anything with the information. If it resonates as truth, then you need to know what to do with the information.
Mhm.
So if someone says that okay, let me use this as an example. When I turned 40, I went to the doctor, get my 40-year exam, 40-year-old exam. They give me this document that says something about women at the age of 40, they have to have, they're prone to fibroids, therefore they need to have hysterectomies and so on, so on, so on, so on, and they go on HRT, synthetic hormone. And I said, this is propaganda. So I just put that down. I said, that is propaganda. I said, I can't believe that. So I go in for my exam. The doctor presses on my abdomen. He says, well, Miss Orr, you have a tumor the size of a grapefruit, and we need to schedule you for surgery. 5 minutes in his office. I said, what? He says, yes, I understand. I understand, Miss Orr. When you turn 40, you're in denial. I said, I am not in denial. I am not in denial. And I said, and if I had a tumor the size of a grapefruit in me, I would know it. I said, I am in tune with my body, so I know if I would know. So he says, I understand. I understand this, Miss Orr, when you turn 40, things are in denial. And he just kept this narrative, if when you turn 40, then I said, I am not in denial. I do not have fibroids. I said, I don't have a history of pain periods. I don't have a history of this. I don't have a history of fibroids. I don't have a history of any of the things you're talking about. I don't have those. So he says, well, we'll schedule you for ultrasound next week. And then after we see that you have those fibroids, then we will schedule you for surgery. They scheduled me for the ultrasound. And I said, doctor, I'm going to take your ultrasound. but I'm going to take your ultrasound to prove to you that I don't have fibroids. And
Mhm.
after I prove to you that I don't have fibroids, I'm walking out of your office. I'm never walking back in.
Okay.
He says, "Well, understand, doctor, understand." Miss Orbis being in denial. Went back the next week, took the thing, could not find a trace of anything.
Wow.
Didn't get an apology, didn't get a nothing. He said, "We'll see you in 5 years." I said, "Doctor, like I said, I'm walking out of your office. I'm never walking back in. Have a good day."
Mhm.
Okay. So what does that tell me? That says if we're so conditioned to believe what people in authority have to say to us, but again, truth has resonance. There was no history, there was no patterns. There was nothing to support what they were telling me. There was nothing there. All
Right.
right. But even if there had been something there, I'm in tune enough with my own body that I know if it is something there, I have everything within my body to heal it.
Right.
I
Right.
just need to know how to access it. And having that belief is one of my fundamental beliefs. I believe that with all my fiber. I don't care what diagnosis, I can heal it. I know what I need to heal it. And now I have technology at my fingertips that will help me do just that because it gives me the information based on the information that my body gives it, that
Mhm.
it can tell me just where I am, what I need to do, how I need to do it. And therefore, it's empowering for me to know
Mhm.
how to take care of my body because I'm the one living in it.
Right.
And I know that healing is an inside job. So
Right.
all I can get from the outside is information. And
Right.
I can only use the information that resonates on the level of truth that's going to help me heal from the inside.
Mhm. Well, you know what? That takes a level of courage, especially in the beginning, because there's a level of responsibility involved. Because then we're responsible to get the information and then to make the choices that go against popular beliefs a lot of
Now,
times.
now,
Now,
Reggie, I had to, don't want to disturb you here, but doesn't it take courage to be sick? Did
no,
you,
no.
does,
Sometimes people, are real comfortable in the sickness because it doesn't. Then you don't have to do the research. Then you don't have to maybe buck the doctor. Then maybe and you sometimes okay. I when the HIV meds came out,
mhm,
they were using AZT, and I didn't use them because I didn't trust them, and
okay,
it was the right decision because they were poisonous and they killed a lot of
mhm,
people. But I kept that. I stayed in that mindset because I didn't trust them, and I was doing okay using herbs and spices, and changing my attitude. But I got tested when I got stressed out,
mhm,
uh, and when I got totally stressed out, then my body, my immune system, I became vulnerable, and so I broke down, and I still had the mindset of not taking the medications,
mhm,
um, but uh, it was a critical situation. And I think
mhm,
that sometimes in critical situations, we have to make this different decisions. And that's when I decided to start taking the medications. It just so happened that they had evolved by that time and that they weren't as toxic
mhm.
as they had been. And so I've been taking the medications for years now with good success. So
Yeah.
great. But I had already changed my lifestyle. I stopped smoking. I stopped eating meat. I stopped taking a lot of chemicals because I had discovered the pattern around the
Yep.
disease itself.
Exactly.
So this is a balance to it all.
Mhm.
Um, but yes, this we have more information now, and I think the people, sometimes get locked into being lazy and letting the doctor tell us what's right and what's wrong, and just going for the okie doke. But it can go both ways. That's why we want to have these conversations because I'm interested to find out what people are doing around COVID-19 and with this vaccine. You
Yeah.
know, because our history has told us that hey, don't trust them, don't trust them, you know. But we might be in a critical situation. Everybody's got to make their own decision, and I just want us to have all of the information and not be afraid to have the conversations. That's
Okay.
why we created the Wellness Awareness and Recovery Community, and that's why we have all types of views and information, stuff that you probably won't get in other places, so that you can make an informed decision, and be empowered with information and with the resources like the one that I'm hearing you start to talk about, because I'm aware of the AO scanner device that you're talking about,
Mhm.
Dr. Bev.
Yeah.
Um, because sometimes when people know you, they don't necessarily, hear it in the same vibration as they do from someone like yourself, who's a doctor in metaphysics and quantum healing. Can you talk a little bit about this device, the AO scan, and how you're using it?
Yeah, I use it religiously at home for myself. So everything I ask my clients to do, then I do myself. So I don't know, am I able to share my screen?
Yes, let me see, make that possible for you. Yeah, go right ahead, share your screen.
Okay, let me get it up here.
And I want to thank everybody that's joining us, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to share in just a little while. Let me let Bev talk a little bit about the AO scan so that you'll have that information. I want to welcome you and ask you to click on the link if now or later, if you haven't as already joined the Wellness, Awareness, and Recovery community. Make sure you do so, because we got a lot of great stuff coming up, and we want to hear from you. I know my man Lou's here, and Lou's got some stuff he's going to start doing with us as well. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Bev. Can you share your screen?
yeah, yeah. Can you see it? Oh,
Hold on. Let
let
me
me get,
pull us out a different view.
yeah.
No, not yet.
Okay, hold on. It's coming. Okay, here we go.
There you go.
There we go. All right. So this is the AO scan, and I'm so grateful for this device right here, because this device, what I was talking earlier about being able to if something comes up with the background that I have, I pull out this little book right here. I use this as my healing Bible,
Okay.
because what this little book right here does, and I've been using this book for about 30 years, and it's just so it's so easy for one, but then it kind of takes you right to the point. It's Louise Hay, Heal Your Body.
Right.
All right. And you can, go on and pull up one of these days. If we have time, we can look through her story. But I use this because this talks about the patterns that manifest dis-ease or disorder in the body, the patterns of thinking. So if someone comes and they say, well, I'm having challenges with diabetes, so I can go in here and I can look up diabetes and look at what's might be causing that pattern to be showing up in their physiology from this standpoint, from the emotional standpoint. Or I can go to my scanner and say, okay, go here and look at, do some other things. And the one that I use the most is called the inner voice. Because when you can look at the voice, the energy and the frequency in the voice, then you can understand what's happening inside of the body. And so what this does, when you use the inner voice, you speak for 10 seconds, and speaking for 10 seconds is going to give a range of the voice. And then after you see the ranges of the voice, it's going to give you a 4-page report as to how the deficits in the voice are being manifested in the body and how they're impacted in the body. Once you have that piece of information, and then you have the therapy that goes along with it, then it gives you a set of tones, what we call harmonic radionic tones, that it plays back, and it matches the deficit so that those deficits can be used with the frequencies to bring balance and bring homeostasis to the body. So in bringing balance to the body, what that does, it helps the body now release any trapped energies that may be trapped inside the body, causing the body to endure stress, causing the body to be in chaos, inner chaos. So once you just do this here, you tap that, and all you have to do is speak into that for 10 seconds. And I'm just going to let it read my voice while I'm talking for 10 seconds, because I'm Beverly Orr, and it happens to be on my screen, and it's picking up my energy and reading my energy. And that's what I want you all to see. I'm going to share that with you right now. And then this is what comes up right then. So this shows the harmonic tones, and based on a chromatic scale of 12 notes, then it shows what tones are deficient and what tones needs more support. And so once you see that, then you go right down here to where you have the reports, and this tells you how to do it. So if you meet with Reggie and Reggie does one of these, or if you're doing it remotely, we can do this, just from where we are.
And I think that's the part of the foundation that people need to know, is that the body Royal Raymond Wright and Tesla, a long time ago, identified over 120,000 frequencies that each organ and system in the body is connected to.
Hmm.
And so what the device does is measure what's out of balance.
Right.
And,
Exactly.
and then it's able to take, like music, if you were a piano and you were out of tune, it plays the tunes uh, the, that the body and the energy can pick up to bring us back into balance.
Yeah.
So it
And
doesn't make it a magic wand, but what it does is allows the body to be in balance so that it can heal itself. Because as
exactly.
Louise Hay says in her book, Beyond the Biology of Belief,
Hmm.
the body will heal itself given the opportunity. But the pattern has been that the water is so jacked up, the food is so jacked up, the air is so jacked up, and the information that we're getting is keeping us so fearful that we're totally out of balance.
Hmm.
And so what Bev is saying is that this device does what we can do if we were like you were when you were 11 years old and were able to metaphysically to be able to just
Tap
tune
in.
in,
Yeah. Tap in.
or if
Tap
people
into
were
it.
just to, all of the distractions outside of us are geared to keep us from being able to heal ourselves and to tune into our own bodies and to
Right.
be intuitive,
Right.
because that's the way that we can be controlled. But if we are free from the system, from the matrix, then we can't be controlled. So
Hmm.
everything is geared towards keeping us locked in.
Yeah.
This device helps us to get in tune. And is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, absolutely. It does help us get in tune, but also our words that we use, what we think, how we use them, all of that helps us to be in tune too. And I just want to,
Vibrate,
I just want to
vibrate.
use, yeah, the vibration. So vibration and the energy of the words. Okay. So I just want to use one thing that you've said several times. I want to reference it just and do a little reframe on it,
Okay.
because when you say don't trust them, don't trust them.
Okay.
Now the subconscious very even cannot even pick up the word trust. If you want to test it, take a child and say, now don't you touch this phone over here. Don't you touch that. What's the child gonna do? Go straight to the phone, gonna touch it. Go, now I'm gonna touch it, gonna pick it up, gonna look at it, gonna examine it, gonna do everything. Anytime
Right.
you use the word don't, your subconscious doesn't know. It's like it cancels it out. And then you do the very thing that you're saying that not to do.
That's
So
important.
instead of saying don't trust, say trust. What can you trust? You can trust your body. So learn
Okay.
to trust your body. You're not trusting anybody outside of you. So I always send my clients inside of you. So what is your gut saying about that? If they have no feeling, the gut's not saying anything. Okay, let's go to the heart. What does the heart say about it? And then they just kind of collapse and they say, oh, well, that's the message you need to listen to.
Okay.
So we've got to learn to trust our bodies, because our bodies are always communicating with us, and with it, and it has to, because we got to take it everywhere we go. So it's always communicating with us. We have to learn what it's saying when it's saying it. So this report here, once you speak into that, it tells you what the energy in your voice, with the frequency in your voice, what you need to pay attention to. So it
Right.
spits out this report. As it does, you can see it, it spits out, it's very detailed, and it spits it out. And in the top of it, it talks about the actual physical areas that are being impacted by your having the thoughts of, and at the very top, if you look at the top of the report here, you can see the top of the report says this is the area here that's being emotionally disconnected.
Mhm.
So I do this therapy a lot. So when I look at this, I have to say, okay, so what am I emotionally disconnecting from that's
Mhm.
impacting my health that I need to be connected to?
Right.
So when I turn on the music, that's what my focus is. And within a few minutes, or after doing something else, it'll come to me. It'll come into my spirit, just what I need to do. Okay, I need to connect more to that, because I was really kind of aloof to that thing that happened. And okay, so I'm aware. So what am I saying? Why is this important? Because everything that you said, Reggie, you've gotten a diagnosis. Your feelings about having those diagnoses, no matter how long it's been, have been the filters that you've looked at and made decisions about how you're going to show up, what you're going to do in the world, how you're going to work towards this, how you're going to go into a relationship, how you're going to come out of a relationship.
Right.
Those emotions are the filters in which you use to make decisions by.
Right.
If you clean off the filter, it's great. But if you're looking through rose-colored glasses trying to make a clear decision, then you're going to be off on some things. So these reports, you have 4 of these reports. And as you go through them, the parts down in this area here are the therapy for it. So you can go through and you look at it. So you just have to go through and understand what it is that you want, that you need to work with, what you need to work on. And then as you go on, and this is the last report. So for this last report here, so these are the things that are being suppressed. So you see, they all have a color. They all have a color. The color that's here in the middle is a balancing color. So that's the color that's going to help balance you out. So, I want to get something that's orange and wear it during the day. This tone up here tells us what tones are being affected. But this tone down here, can you tell us what needs to be, what is the balancing tone? So that's going to help balance us. Okay, so this gives us all of the things that we need to work on. Down here, it gives us a therapy that we need to talk about. And then miraculously, after we go through all of that, now we have the balancing harmonics, which is the music. And the music, when you hear it, sometimes it incites emotions because it is such beautiful music.
Actually, been listening to some of mine
Yeah.
while you've been talking.
So when you listen to the music, because some of those tones are really low, and the tones that are the balancing tones, can you hear me talking over this?
I can hear you talking. I can't hear your tones, but I can hear mine. Let
Okay,
me see. I'll play mine a little louder.
okay. So the tones that are not too loud, so I want them to hear this, but
Okay.
the tones that are the balancing tones, um, the tones that are the balancing tones are the tones that are going to actually balance you, and they're playing in the background of these tones that you hear just now.
Yeah.
So in order to hear those tones, then the thing to do is to make sure that you have headphones or that you have some kind of earbuds that you can listen to as you listen to them, then your body's going to pick up the balancing tones that are playing underneath the other tones. And those are the tones that's actually doing the work. So what happens when you play these over a series of days?
Stop
Because
sharing
we
your
did
screen
the
right now.
14 days. Okay, I can stop.
Yes.
So what happens when you share these tones over a period of days? One of the main things that happens is that your body gets used to the resonance. Because it's a balancing tone, is those emotions that are lodged within your body, it's going to gradually be able to release them. And because it's going to feel trust. It's like the body's saying, oh, they're beginning to trust us again. We can come out and we can be who we are. So it begins to release those emotions. It begins to release those events that hurt you, that sent you inside anyway. And then but when the body releases it, it's like it brings it out here and it puts it in front of you. So where it doesn't hurt anymore, it doesn't send you into an emotional rage anymore. It just allows you to be able now to look at it, oh, to make sense of it, to understand, to resolve it. Well, if I'd have just done this, or if we could have just been able to meet on this level, now you're able to come up with a resolution. And that resolution is what causes you to be able to say, okay, I can forgive myself. I can forgive them, and I can release this. And then releasing of that, it liberates now energy inside of your body. Now your body has energy to begin to heal itself. So
You know,
there is no incurable disease. The disease is only curable from within. But you've got to learn to take that journey within and allow yourself to heal.
we're like tuning forks, and it's not
Mhm.
only the illnesses that it's really resolved for me. It's got tones in here for abundance.
Hmm.
It's got tones in here for all different types of states of being,
Yeah.
and so money is energy too.
Everything is energy. We're
And
98% energy.
well, we've had a lot of great anecdotal experiences. People have been sharing a lot of testimonies. I
Uh-huh.
can I can I can testify that my money has gotten better as a result. you
Okay.
know that this just I'm not concerned about money these days, and I'm not saying I'm sitting on swole or this I got $1 million, but I'm just saying that there's a sense of peace. Everything happens in the emotion. You
Hmm.
know, I know this is like that old Jetson, or this is like what was it, tricorder from Star Trek. You know,
Yeah.
we are in the age of Aquarius,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
there's a lot of great technology that is available and that is coming forth. And we can be out in front of it. As soon as I heard about it, and the thing that I like about it most is that it can be used remotely.
Yeah.
So I feel powerless because I have a son that's incarcerated,
Mm.
and he just had a situation where his health and was challenged. And with a device like this, by putting his information in here, I'm able to send, like we do with prayer, you know vibrations in his direction that are focused. And
Hmm.
it's, people sometimes wonder, well, how does it work? How does that work? But we don't really think about how cell phones work, how Siri works, how all this AI is working. So I'm just grateful that we can gather in this community to start sharing
Oh,
this information, and you can start connecting with other people that you may not have been exposed to, and other information and resources that you may not have been exposed to. And Dr. Bev, you are most certainly one of those. And I'm glad to start bringing, this is about networking. So I'm glad to bring my man, Louis Robinson. Louis and I go way back. He's a good friend of mine. Louis, open up your mic, and I see you got your hand raised. I'd like for you to engage in the conversation. And I want you to meet Dr. Bev. Dr. Bev, meet my good friend, Louis Robinson.
good to
Lou,
meet you,
what's going on
Louis.
with you, bro?
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure, truly so. Doctor, thank you. And thank you for your information and what you're bringing to us to understand, or better understand, if we do understand somewhat, the focus on energy, body, and our thinking. And my hand shot up before you got into it. And basically, you pretty roughly answered what my thought was going to, and that's positive thinking, because you went to positive energy. But for me, what I always refer to in any facilitating this or imparting information to someone else to try to help them is always positive thinking. That should come first and foremost in my presentation, communication. That is far the farthest thing that some people seem to look at. Sometimes they look at situations instead of their thinking about controlling situations, and in controlling situations, if it's not on a positive level, then for me, kind of lost. You're up in the air. Anything, matter of fact, in the beginning you were saying what can come in. I think Reggie was speaking about what can sneak in there if you don't have that positive thinking. And what you're speaking of is the positive energy that controls the body. And I just need to know more about what
Yeah.
this is that I can possibly work with in there, because it's a lot of information, but that's all that they're gonna work with in order to better heal the body, mind, and soul, so to
Yeah.
speak. So
Yeah.
I'm ever so grateful that the God of my understanding had me look at a text, because I'm not one to connecting that social media a lot, but I was coming out of a group, not a group anniversary. A young lady was celebrating 35 years, and something told me to look at my text. Oh,
Hmm.
no, let me stop saying something. The God of my understanding had me look at my text in order to connect here and get this information that
Yeah.
could possibly help save my life and others.
Yeah. So
So
it was,
that's why I'm here. Yeah.
yeah. So it was time. It was your time. So something, something in your countenance, said it's time for you to hear this information. And you're
Yeah.
so right when it comes to, being positive. And sometimes the path to positive is really hard to get to. So we got to shoot if you want, it's kind of like when one of my friends used to say, I just want to be okay. I just want to feel good. And so if you always shoot for good, the most you can get is okay. So, but if
Yeah.
you, yeah, if you want to get to positive, then shoot for spiritual. Go much higher than positive. I mean, higher than positive, and you're going to land right at spiritual just naturally. So and because being able to get to positive is going to then be able to take you to spiritual. So to get to positive, you're right, get to positive. All right. And positive, you'll be able to do a great amount of work there and then shoot for that next level. Because then when you shoot for that next level, you're not going to be able to fall as deep. You're going to be able to catch
Okay.
yourself and be, bam, positive is going to catch you before you get, okay? Because you've
Yeah.
laid that positive foundation. So shoot for, always shoot for more. And that's how we find these kinds of things. And that's how there's a part of you that was shooting for something else, just shooting for something else. And you didn't know what, but your spirit knew.
Yeah.
Okay. So you were
Well, I
guided
understand.
here. So we're glad
Thank
that
you
you're
for
there.
listening to your spirit as well, because it was straight spirit. I was looking for some information prior to starting this session, and your name popped up in my spirit. That's when I sent you the
Ah,
text.
he
Spiritual
manifested you.
connections.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I sent
Yeah.
it out to more people, but you
Yeah.
showed up.
And
Yeah.
everybody, yeah.
I shot it out real quick to some of the folks that I know would be interested in, connecting. So thank God some of them showed up. The rest, whenever it's their time, it's their time.
It's their time.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
we're simply creating a network here where we'll be able to share with each other
Yeah.
and really pass on some really life-saving or life enriching
Yeah.
information.
There you go. I
Spirit
would like,
enriching information.
yeah, if I could, I would like to usher a challenge out to everyone that's here, to get in touch with Reggie and just experience the inner voice for 14 days. And then let's come back and talk about it.
Okay. All right. Sounds like
Sounds great to me.
Yeah. And then just come back and we'll just share. Now, the one thing you have to do is that you have to allow the music to do its work. You don't have to work on anything. Okay. So, because it's going to work, You're going to feel it working almost immediately. So the other thing you have to do is to write down what it
yeah.
is you're feeling. Write down what comes up. Write down, if you're going to start having memories of people that you hadn't thought about in years. You may start dreaming. Those dreams may become more vivid. They may become more in color. You may start getting impressions of things during the day. Your senses are going to be more aware. Whatever change that you notice, write that down. And then let's meet back here and let's share it in 14 days. That'd be really cool.
Be
Okay.
really cool. Really cool.
Sounds great.
Sounds-
Sounds great. Yeah.
And it's easy to do. The tones when you get the report are like there's 4 of them,
Mhm.
and there's 3 minutes each.
Mhm.
So if we listen to them 3 times a day, usually like when you wake up and go to bed, maybe
Mhm.
sometime during the course of the day. So that's like 12 minutes, 36 minutes out of the whole day.
Yeah.
But the benefit is far
Oh,
outweighs
man.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Anytime.
I'm supposed to practice meditation on more regularly, and I have been lax. But I feel like I'm getting a lot of that back listening to the tones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the key is to
Absolutely.
be consciously focused on raising my energy. Because
And
I know I'm not from here. This is not my home. Hey, I didn't want to be here. I'm glad to be here now. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
glad,
yeah.
but this is not my
Yeah.
home. And getting us back, and before we leave, to the conversation around COVID-19. Um, you know,
Yeah.
I'm not a theologian, but in the text, I heard somebody say that it's about being in the world, but not of it.
Right.
And because the world is tripping right now, and it always has been. And the key is to learn how to navigate and be comfortable, and to raise my energy and to raise the energy of those around me.
Right.
So that is the intention of the Wellness Awareness and Recovery Community, and I'm grateful to have the 2 of you, as well as others who have joined us. The community is most certainly growing, and we want to hear from you because the community is ours. And so we're able to create, if there are issues around the community of the HIV community, the recovery community, the people who are seeking wellness in all the families of people in recovery. There's just so many different issues. Grandparents, people who have children that are incarcerated and family members that are incarcerated. There's so much trauma that we need to negotiate and to recognize and to mitigate.
Yeah.
Then we can do it together.
Yeah. One of those emotions that I know comes up a lot is just that of judgment, where we just, because it's so much, stuff coming at you. But when you start looking at, whether or not you can be in judgment or cast judgment or whatever, then, you don't even have any right to judge even yourself. It's no place for that. And the body has no place to store it on a healthy level.
Oh,
So if
okay,
the
yeah.
body can't store it on a healthy level, guess what?
Mm.
If you're carrying it, it's making you sick. It's causing you some pain somewhere. And so that's where, that's where we can go in and we can find out just where that judgment is lying, and whether it's against yourself or to somebody else, because your body's not designed to carry it. So
Okay.
stay out of judgment, learn to love yourself where you are. Okay.
Well, I know that
Because
there's so
yeah,
many
learn.
different things that you will be able to help myself that you already have today and others as we going forward, that we're setting up and we have set up your channel inside the community. It's the Quantum Living
Quantum
with,
living.
with Dr. Beverly Orr. So you can check for that channel and all the other channels we have to Eat to Live. Just and whatever channels that you think that we need to have in order to create our best selves,
Yeah.
then suggest that and become
Okay.
a part of creating that. But
Yeah.
I wanna thank you. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Beverly Orr, for joining us, and for everyone else that chimed in and joined us today. We're going to take your challenge, and we'll meet back here in 2 weeks.
Oh, we don't have to wait 2
Okay.
weeks to meet. We can meet next week, but 2 weeks, okay?
It's-
Because
Okay.
some people are
Okay.
gonna have some changes this week,
Okay.
and we want to hear about them. But 2 weeks is
Okay.
the span.
Okay.
So when we meet next week, write your stories down, because you're gonna have some stories to tell. I already know. Okay.
Well, you know what? Inside the community, we have the feature. There's a feature in there for a community chat for, where everyone can chat together, or
Okay.
you can network with one another. So if you want to talk to Bev, if you want to talk to me, if you want to talk to Lewis, if you want to talk to each other, if you want to everybody, let's just keep the conversation going there.
Yeah.
And let's see, because that way is sharing that we'll be able, because I know a lot of times I don't identify what I'm going through until somebody else shares it.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
crazy. I don't know.
Exactly.
Call myself
Yeah.
weird. Oh
That's
yeah, that's right, Lou. Yeah, I felt the same thing. So,
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I can't see the trees for the forest. It's like, or sometimes you just put another set of eyes on the problem, and it's like, there it is right there. What? How'd you
right.
see that quick? It's like you're so used to looking at it, that it just meshes in with everything else. It meshes in the background. So sometimes we just need a new set of eyes to come in and just say, look, this is it right here.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna let you do our heads. You're not a hairstylist today, so you're doing heads. We're gonna let you do our heads and hearts, and we're gonna all just make a commitment to join and tell our friends, especially those that are in the families of people that are in recovery and in the HIV community, which is where our real focus is, to join us inside the Wellness Awareness and Recovery community. You can click out the link, send them the link, and then we'll just keep it going from there. How about that?
That sounds great. I want to say one more thing, because I think y'all are a fantastic community, and you can definitely offer some things to, the world. And I hope that that's a goal of yours
Yes,
to
absolutely.
to pull out your golden nuggets that you may have put back, you may have packed away somewhere. Pull
Okay.
out those golden nuggets so that we could look at, like, where do they have a place? Because you only have them because they have a place. If that
You know
makes sense.
what? You and I know that you're very familiar with YouTube, and we've got the opportunity. Everyone here has a story.
Ah,
Everyone's got a book inside of them, but like not everyone has the discipline or the desire to sit down and write a book. But what we can do is we can fashion a way to start telling those stories here and putting them in front of the world in a way that's really that people will resonate with.
Yeah.
And I know that
They
you
can
have,
identify with. Yeah.
yeah. And I
yeah.
know that you have a gift for doing that, Beverly. So let's work on that as a project as well. Okay.
Okay, that sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you all so much for having me to join with you. I appreciate being a part of the group. And Reggie, thank you so much. You're so gracious. And I'm looking forward to doing hopefully some really awesome things with you guys.
I'm looking forward to it as
Thank
well.
you so much for being here.
All right.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
So once again, I'm Reggie Smith, and we're here with Dr. Beverly Orr, my good friend Lewis Robinson down in Miami, and all the rest of you who are joining either now live or as we are watching as recording. Join us in the rdsf.mn.co community. It's the Wellness Awareness and Recovery Community, and let's take our healing to another level. All right.
Awesome.
Thank you for joining us. Until the next time, peace and blessings.
Bye-bye.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.